Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about our trip to Puerto Vallarta. We are going in March and it's going to be a family trip, so to speak. I'm going to be going with my husband, my mom, and my son. And the interesting thing is my son has never flown before. This is going to be his first flight, ironically, outside of the United States. But he needs to get used to it because that's where we're going at some point. So, I think it'd be good for him to have a little test to see how flying is. Mexico is not as far as we're planning on going for our final trip. So, yeah, I'm excited about it. I'm nervous for sure because, you just never know what could happen. But, I want to talk about us going, while we're going, the things that are like making me nervous and I'm a little anxious about, and the things I'm also excited about. Let's dig in. This is going to be a special trip for a number of reasons. We'll be visiting my daughter there. She lives there. She's been there since September. So we're going to be visiting her. And then of course it's going to be my son's first time flying. He's 24 and he's never flew before, which is not really anything crazy. A lot of people have not flown before. There's people who are, in their elder years who have never flown. So I think it's time to pull the band-aid off because eventually he is going to have to fly. So I think this would be a perfect little trip for him to kind of get introduced to the process of flying. And I mean everything, not just being in the air flying, but also all the hustle and bustle of, working through airports and stuff like that, because that can be really like overstimulating. Let's start with the big reasons why we're going to Puerto Vallarta. I have to get used to saying Vallarta, and not Vallarta, because the double L is a Y in Spanish. And I need to actually get back into my Spanish learning, but we're not going to get into that right now. But let's talk about the big reasons why we're going to Puerto Vallarta. We're going to visit my daughter. She's been living there for quite a few months, living her life, really enjoying herself. I feel like Mexico looks really good on her. She's happy. She's flourishing. I'm happy that she has had the opportunity to take that step to leave the United States and to go somewhere where she feels at home already. She's only been there since September, so it's going to be nice to be able to see her. I miss her. She misses us. It'd be nice for us to be able to see how things are there, for her to show us around the area. Of course, we're only going to be in that one city in Mexico. It'd be nice for us to really be able to engage in the culture for just a little bit. We're only going to be staying for a week, which is plenty of time for us to be able to kind of see how things are. Mexico is not our spot that we plan to move to. And it's not really necessarily hers. She's there right now, but she's not like permanently staying there. But she, she's going to consider doing that because she does like Mexico and she is enjoying it. That being said, that is the main reason why we're going to Mexico. And of course, we all need a vacation because right now there's a lot going on. Puerto Vallarta is a beautiful coastal city with beaches and lots of colorful, atmospheres, and the culture is just beautiful. A lot of people go there when they're considering to move out of the United States or just move from other countries. That's one of the biggest cities in Mexico that a lot of people migrate to. So in a way, this trip will allow us to be able to visit her and also be able to see how it is to be in another country, see how life is in another country. Really kind of explore that lifestyle. Now this part is really exciting and it's definitely nerve-wracking. My son is 24 and this is his first time flying ever. Like he's never flew ever at all. He's always been one to say, I don't want to fly. I don't want to fly. But over the last few months, his tone has completely changed because he knows that we're leaving the country and he's ready. He's ready to go. Like everyone in our house is ready to go. I'm proud of him because I feel like he broke out of that. Even though he hasn't flew yet, he still decided to change that mindset and say, I'm going to fly because I know I want to fly. I know I want to go where we're going. And I know that I have to get there. And that's how I'm going to get there. So I've been trying to, I just booked his flight yesterday. So he just really decided that he wanted to go yesterday. So I'm going to be like looking for like different ways to like, find different solutions for like calming him down, things like that. Because he does have anxiety. So I worry about that like escalating in the situation, like, flying situation. I've been like talking to him about how like even before he decided that he was going to go on this trip, I been talking to him about like, what to expect, how hectic it can be, like going through security, things like that. And I'm going to make sure that he has everything good to go. We have 3 months. We go in March, so we have 3 months to prepare. So I'm also talking to him about how, like, in my opinion, what is the worst part of actually flying? To me, is always the takeoff. I always get a little like, stomach butterflies in my stomach when we take off. But for the most part, after that, it's smooth sailing. You can't even tell you're in the air. Every once in a while, there's some turbulence. I kind of don't want to tell him that because I don't want to scare him, but I'm going to make sure that he has a clear understanding and I'm transparent about everything that could possibly happen on his first flight so that he's not surprised by anything. Because I think that's going to be the best thing to do for all of us, for him and for me and for everyone else involved, even the people on the plane. He's 24, he's grown, but he's still my baby, so I have to prepare myself too to make sure that I'm supportive of his fears and his apprehension and his anxiety around, flying. But I think he'll do fine. I really do. I think, like I told him, one of the things I've always understood is that when you're determined to do something, it's easy to like brush your fears aside. So I think that with that being said, he's determined, he wants to do this, he knows he wants to go. He made the decision on his own that he wants to go on this trip. So I feel like, that will give you a little bit more adrenaline to kind of like brush those fears aside and be like, let's do this. Let's do it. Now we're also taking my elderly mother. She's 74. She has flew before. She has never flown out of the country though. So she has flew before, so she knows the, the process and the experience. So I think she'll be fine. I'm not too worried about her. She walks and gets around perfectly fine, but I did get the wheelchair assistance that they offer. Because, I mean, why not get it? Especially going through the airports can be hectic. I feel like I need one at some point, So I feel like it'd be a good idea to have it just in case she needs it. If she doesn't need it, then fine. But it never hurts to go ahead and have that set up for her. I'm excited for her to be able to go out of the country. She's possibly going with us too when we move abroad. So we've been like educating her on where we're going so she has an understanding of what life is like there and just getting her prepared so that if she does decide to do it, she has the knowledge that she needs. And also, like I told her, Google works for everybody, and she can get on Google to look up a casino so she can get on Google to look up where we're going. And yeah, Mexico has a casino because when my daughter first got there, she was driving in and she drove past one and she took a video of it and sent it to my mom. So we'll see how that goes, because my mom will try to go. She will try to go in that little week time. She will try to go to that casino. But overall, I just want to make sure that, during her trip, I want to make sure that she's comfortable. I want to make sure that she's, staying hydrated. I want to make sure that I also, like, preempt her before, like, making sure you're hydrated, making sure you're comfortable. I want to get her some compression socks, because I wear compression socks whenever I fly. So I want to get her some of those to make sure that she's, doesn't have any problems like with blood clots or anything. That's the most scary thing about flying to me. I'm sorry, it scares me to death. I've heard so many horror stories of people getting blood clots in their legs that they didn't find out about until months after their trip because they didn't wear compression socks. I don't know. I'm not taking any chances. I'm going to have me some. That's it. Bottom line. I mean, flying is rough. I have a hard time sometimes. And it's not that the flying itself, it's the process. The airport, getting through the airport. A lot of times, by the time you get boarded onto the plane, you're like hot and you're just like overwhelmed and overstimulated, at least for me. So, yeah, and then the fact that I'll have other people to kind of like watch over, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. But I feel like this actually gives us all a tester of how things are going to go when we move abroad. Because when we move abroad, it's going to be 5 of us plus pets. So yeah, this would be a nice little like testing out the waters, if you will, just to get us, you know, prepared for how this could be. It's probably going to be a lot different, but either way, it's still flying. It's still going through airports. It's still the same type of process. And it's still flying possibly with an elderly person. I've never done that, so this is going to be an experience for me as well. But I will say it's a blessing to be able to take her, and I'm happy that she'll get to experience this. Even if she doesn't go with us when we go for our final move, I'm happy that she'll be able to experience life outside of the United States. Now that we got all that out of the way, I am excited about the fun stuff. Once we get there, like the beginning is the tough part. It's getting there. Once we get there, I'm excited about the fun and the sun and the things that we'll be able to see and engage in. And I know that there's going to be issues because of language barriers and things of that nature. That's why, like, I'm trying to learn a little bit of Spanish so that I have a little bit of knowledge just to be able to at least greet people and maybe ask questions. But for the most part, I know that, you know, a lot of people speak English, so I'm not too worried about that. But I also have an understanding that you cannot expect the people in the country to accommodate you. You need to figure it out. There's translators on your phone. There's lots of resources, so there's no excuse for you not to be able to communicate effectively. And one of the things I'm looking forward to the most, Mexico has some of the best food. Fresh fruit, just their food in general, like tacos, things like that. But being able to have access to just fresh fruit everywhere you go, things like that. That's one of the things that I'm really excited about with moving abroad in general. My daughter already told me about this store there. I can't remember what it's called, but she said it's similar to like Whole Foods, but of course it's not as expensive, but it's huge. I've been FaceTiming her, like we FaceTime every day, and she literally like walks me through the area that she lives in. And she like walks me through stores that she goes to and stuff like that. So I've had my own little piece of Mexico at this point. So it's really exciting. It makes me really excited to get there. I love going to grocery stores in different countries. So that would be the first thing that I'm going to be laser focused on, me and my son. And we're staying in an Airbnb that is like 7 minutes from where my daughter stays. So that's perfect. We had booked one initially because it was going to just be me and my husband. We booked one initially that was like 30 minutes from her, but it was closer to the beach. So we had to cancel that one and book one that was good enough for 4 people. And this one isn't as close to the beach, but that's okay. It just gives us more opportunity to explore and things like that. And personally, I love the beach, but I'm not trying to be on the beach all the time. I want to be in the community. I think I will have a much better time being actually in the community versus like hanging out on the beach every day. But again, the things that we're looking forward to, the beach, of course, the sunset, of course, you know, the sunset, sunrises, both of those I'm looking forward to. Walking on the Malecon, I think that's how you say it. And then, of course, the grocery stores and the foods and the restaurants. And I don't know for sure if we're going to go on any excursions. I'm not sure if we're going to do all that, but we'll see. We don't really have a solid plan. We're kind of going to just go with the flow. We also have to be mindful of my mother. She can't really, like, she can walk around. She can get around really good. She doesn't have any, like, mobility issues, but there's a lot of rough streets, cobble streets, and things like that in Mexico, so we have to be mindful of that when we go doing a lot of walking. But we'll make sure that we take care of her. It's not a big deal. I mean, worst case scenario, we can just drop her off at the casino and she'll be straight. She will not care. That is literally what we did when we went to Canada. Me, my 2 daughters, and my mom went to Canada for the Beyonce concert a couple years ago, and my mom found a casino that was like around the corner from where we were staying. She was content. We was at the concert. She's at the casino. It was good. Because a lot of times, like, me and my husband will travel and we go places and it's just me and him, which is fine. But this would be the first time I'll be taking my, you know, other parts of my family out of the country to places like this. So this is going to be exciting. There's only going to be one missing link, and that's my daughter, my middle daughter. She is not going to be going. I wish she could. She could, But I don't know what we would do with the dogs. That's like one of the #1 issues. Plus, I'm not sure if she wants to take that time off work. So there's there's reasons why she probably wouldn't go. But we still have 3 months. And when I booked the flights, there's a bunch of seats left. So the opportunity is there if we can figure it out. Now, let's be real. Traveling does always come with anxiety and worry. It's never going to go smoothly all the way to the end. It's possible. At least I hope that it goes smoothly. But we always have to be mindful and have in the back of your mind that there's always going to be a hiccup somewhere along the line. So that's the things that I worry about, because I just don't know. You never really know. But you have to kind of be prepared to pivot just in case. The main things that we're thinking about is delays, airport crowds. Like, the airports are crowded. We're going in March. It might not be that bad. The turbulence for my son, that may be a little shocking, because there's been times when I've been on a plane and I was like, we cool? Is everything all right? Customs and immigration, of course, that's always a worry. But, I'm not too worried about that. We're coming to visit, I don't think people really have problems with that. I do worry about it a little bit for my son because he's not used to answering those questions like that. So that's if they ask him questions. Sometimes they don't even ask you anything. But I'll just make sure that he knows when they do ask you, like, what are you here for? To visit my sister, to visit my family, to visit, that's it. You're here for vacation. You can just say you're here for vacation. It's simple. It doesn't have to be that serious. But it's just also things to worry about in the back of your mind, because you just never know who you're going to be dealing with. And then adjusting to new environments and cultures, of course. Like I said, the language, things like that. Those are just things that we have to be mindful of. My mom especially, this is the scenario of what she would do. She'll talk to someone in a store or something. Or someone will be talking to us in the store. They'll talk to her or something. They'll say something to her, and they may have an accent. Or they may talk low. Or they may just not be that clear because they don't speak English very well, or they maybe not speak English at all. She's good at being like, someone will say something to her and she doesn't understand what they're saying. Instead of saying, "What'd you say?" She'll look at me. It's always me. She'll look at me and be like, "What'd you say?" So that's something to be prepared for. And then, of course, staying aware of your surroundings and safe. That is definitely very important. So there is a lot of dogs, I notice. Because like I said, my daughter takes me on little walks with her almost every day, where I can see like kind of what things look like around there. There's a lot of dogs. And I don't even know if they're stray. She says she doesn't really know if they're stray. Some of them, a lot of them are not. They're just hanging out. These dogs just be living their best life. They're not on chains. They're just walking around Mexico, which I think is so cute and so funny. But it can also be scary because you don't really know what their intentions are. You don't know who they are, who they belong to, or if they belong to anyone. So, that's definitely something that we have to remember, that we have to be mindful of. The dogs that just kind of like hang out, living their best life. I feel like for the most part, they're just living their life. They're not really paying attention to anyone. So yeah, that's another thing, safety and just being aware of your surroundings. I'll say it's definitely normal to have to be nervous about this big family trip, because I've never taken my family anywhere like outside of the United States. We've traveled, of course, within the United States, and that was fairly simple, especially because we drove, so we didn't fly. The airport is a whole other animal. This trip means a lot to me because it's given me an opportunity to reconnect with my daughter, expose my son to something different, his first flying trip before we take our ultimate flight, which I think is very, very important. And then, of course, allowing my mother to be able to see things outside the United States and see how she likes living somewhere else besides here. Even though it's only going to be for a short vacation, but it still is going to give her a little bit of experience of how things are other than here. And with our plan to move abroad, it's very important to see our family living that experience, even though it's only going to be for a short period of time. I think that it helps shape your mindset, and it also allows you to be able to see the world differently, because everything doesn't revolve around the United States. And it gives people that understanding. I think that with me going to other countries, I've been able to understand that and embrace that. Now, I haven't went to enough countries. I would love to be well traveled, and I plan to do that in my lifetime. But the few experiences that I have had outside of the United States has made me look at the United States with a totally different lens. You kind of see the cracks in this country. I mean, it's not hard to see the cracks, but I'm just saying, like, the things that you're used to and you think are normal, you see how much they are not normal outside of the United States. It just helps you imagine having a new future, and I think that's amazing. That's our plans in March for our trip to Puerto Vallarta. And it's not just like a vacation. It's like, you know, reconnecting with my family, not just my daughter, but just my family in general. My son, my mom, my husband. You know, it's like we're all putting ourselves in this experience. And I think it'd be nice to like reconnect and really like see how we live together and we communicate together in a different environment, in a different place. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments if you've ever traveled with your family, like, you know, multiple people in your family, not just like your children or your husband, but like your mother, your grandparents, people like that. Let me know how that went, how that experience was, and if you would do that again, if you enjoy traveling with multiple family members. Or if you helped someone take their first flight. How did that go? If you have any tips on that, please leave them below in the comments because I could use them all. I will definitely come back with a recap after the trip to, you know, show how things went. I'm definitely going to have some footage to share and things of that nature, so definitely be looking forward to that. But if you want me to come back for any like planning tips, any packing tips, anything like that, definitely let me know in the comments below and I'll definitely put something together for that. As always, thank you for watching. Make sure you are subscribed to my channel and click the notification bell for updates on when I post new videos. And I will see you in the next one.